The Trump presidency ends in November of next year. If the American people are given a fair chance and a voice and a choice, we will take back Congress. The President of the United States recognizes that, so he wants to rig the game, wants to change the rules midterm.
Señores, el gobernador de California, Gavin Newsom, ha ofrecido una conferencia de prensa explosiva. Dejó algo clarísimo. Nosotros lideramos con fuerza y no nos vamos a dejar intimidar por Donald Trump ni por el movimiento MAGA. Esto es exactamente lo que los demócratas necesitan escuchar en estos tiempos. Vamos a ver ese momento poderoso.
I'm not going to sit back any longer in a position, the fetal position, in a position of weakness, when in fact California could demonstrably advance strength. And that's what we intend to do, to show our strength and capacity of purpose, of conviction in the spirit of our founding fathers.
Sin dudas, pues Newsom no se anda con rodeos. Dice que California lidera con fuerza, con moral, con convicción y que no se va a quedar de brazos cruzados. No nos dejamos, no nos callamos, respondemos y luchamos. Y eso es lo que ha estado haciendo. Aquí tienen otro fragmento de la misma conferencia que fue simplemente contundente.
Reacting to the President of the United States and Governor Abbott trying to rig the election, they recognize they can't win in the midterms. All the momentum is shifted away from them. So they're doing what President Trump familiarly does, and that is trying to, dial for votes in Georgia. And now he's dialing up districts to maintain control and complete abdication of oversight, which is what Speaker Johnson's best known for. And I've said this many times, I think there's a growing recognition in this country, not just with Democrats, independents, but also Republicans, that de facto the Trump presidency ends in November of next year. If the American people are given a fair chance and a voice and a choice, we will take back Congress. The President of the United States recognizes that, so he wants to rig the game, wants to change the rules midterm. They're very effective at this. They've done this in the past. They've got a lot of experience doing this. He dials up Greg Abbott, says, I need 5. Instead of 12,000 votes in Georgia, I need 5 House seats. He obliges. And they're doing a midterm rejection of objectivity and independence. A act that we could criticize from the sideline, or an act that we can respond to in kind, fight fire with fire in the spirit that brings us here together today. If so much wasn't at stake, our federal support for recovery efforts in Los Angeles that are not conditioned based on politics or the whim of a particular personality. If so many of our state grants, if so many of the values we hold dear weren't at stake, perhaps we wouldn't put a stake or plant a stake in the ground, but we feel very differently. And I believe the vast majority of Americans feel differently. This is an existential moment. And so as a consequence, we have moved forward to analyze the prospect of doing a mid-term, as it were, process in between the census and begin the process of redistricting, working with the legislature, working with the congressional representatives. And we're in the process of making a determination to be able to answer in detail your question. The process, though, looks a little bit like this. A special election would be called. It's likely to be the first week of November. That process will unfold in a way where maps will be made available in a transparent way. We will go to the people of this state in a transparent way and ask them to consider the new circumstances, to consider these new realities. As someone that supports statewide and national independent redistricting, someone who supported the original redistricting as a Democrat, not many of us are out there. I believe in that principle, and it should be advanced nationwide. We're not here to eliminate the commission. We're here to provide a pathway in 26, 28, and in 2030 for congressional maps on the basis of a response to the rigging of the system by the President of the United States. And it won't just happen in Texas. I imagine he's making similar calls all across this country. It's a big deal. I don't think it gets much bigger. And we're going to respond in a transparent way, an honest way, but it's in response. But I'm not going to sit back any longer in a position, the fetal position, in a position of weakness, when in fact California can demonstrably advance strength. And that's what we intend to do, to show our strength and capacity of purpose, of conviction, in the spirit of our founding fathers, in the spirit of the best of Roman Republic and Greek democracy, in the spirit of checks and balances, in the spirit of rule and law, the spirit that defines the best of this 249-year enduring experiment. And I'm not going to sit back and watch Donald Trump continue to wreak havoc under the rule of law and continue to wreak havoc over the principles that define the best of this nation. And so I'm grateful for the legislature, grateful for congressional representatives about how far we've come in the process. And over the course of the next week or two, we will have more information to share with you on a timely basis. Please be careful not reporting about maps. I've not seen one. I love that you all seen maps, news to me. But I assure you this, I will not be part of this unless the people of the state of California don't have those maps. This is not going to be done in a back room. This is not going to be done by members of some private group or body. It's going to be given to the voters for their consideration in a very transparent way so they know exactly what they're doing, and they can go back in 2030 to original form with our independent redistricting intact in the spirit that I think should be advanced all across this country, not just in California.
Por si fuera poco, hubo otro momento clave en esta rueda de prensa donde Newsom intensificó el tono aún más. Vamos a verlo.
How much did it cost to have the theatrics with the National Guard and Trump? What was the cost of having thousands and thousands of brave men and women, our heroes, in uniform, waiting for a mission task for the vulgar theater of trying to express, some position of power over the state by federalizing the National Guard or bringing in the United States Marines. By the way, I hope you find that out. How many hundreds of millions of dollars was wasted as it relates to the National Guard deployment? How many National Guardsmen and women actually did anything? How many months they sat there not doing vegetation and forest management? By the way, on that, can I highlight something? I think this is interesting, and I would run with this. Between May and June, the Cal Guard assisted fentanyl interdiction declined 57% because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller took the National Guard off of our counter-narcotics task forces to address the issue of fentanyl. And it impacted those operations, a 57% decline. They took folks off the Guard, off our rattlesnake teams, working side by side with CAL FIRE and CCC to prepare for wildfire season, vegetation forest management, particularly necessary in light of the federal cuts coming from the administration. This is what's at stake with redistricting. This is what's at stake for our state. And this is why it matters to everybody. And that's why we continue to look forward to landing in the place where our legislature as representatives and our federal partners feel in a transparent way could give the people of the state of California a real choice.
Y bueno, Newsom cerró la conferencia con un mensaje que fue directo, fuerte y sin titubeos. Escuchen.
Well, we continue to call for the higher angels. I mean, every Republican care about their kids, grandkids. These are good people. I think they want to be there for other people. I think that's inspiring. Happiest people I know are people that support other people That's what public service is all about. So I still believe in that. I may be romantic and old-fashioned. I still believe people will do the right thing at the end of the day. So I'm hopeful that $39 billion, which we think is a very conservative number, we didn't put that number out lightly, that will be there for each other. I hope we're there for the people of Texas. We should be. I'd be proud. I mean, they receive about $71 billion a year, federal taxes, more than they provide. We provide $83 billion more in federal taxes. I'm glad some of that money will go to Texas. I hope the Texas delegation will consider that. All the federal money that they receive from the state of California in relationship to this interdependence, and this fundamental notion that we're all better off, we're all better off. Many parts, one body, United States of America. Not the divided states, not red and blue. It's red, white, and blue. So there's 39 billion reasons that I have confidence still in the men and women that took that oath to the Constitution that they'll do the right thing and not play politics when it comes to disaster aid and disaster recovery.
Amigos, Gavin Newsom ha estado toda la semana alzando la voz, ha estado plantándose firme en contra del régimen de Trump. Hace unos días también apareció junto con Brian Taylor Cohen, que es otro canal de YouTube que habla sobre noticias, un canal progresista independiente, y ha dejado claro que él no está aquí para jugar a la política blanda, que él vino a pelear. Veamos ese encuentro.
And we have two things. We have formal authority. We still have it in so many of these states. We have states like California with the state of mind where you can pick up 5+ seats. And we can push back, but we also have moral authority because we know what we're fighting for. We know who we're fighting against. And so when you have moral authority and formal authority, you need to exercise it at peril of being judged not to have lived. And all of us will judge ourselves, even more extremely that is, if we don't meet this moment. So let's not dream of regretting. Those that have the privilege like I do, public service at this moment, I'm so blessed. I mean, if I was on the sideline kicking and screaming, just trying to throw things or just, sending messages, watching something like this, that's hard. I empathize with that. And so I'm so lucky to be that voice to the extent I can. And so I'm going to do my best. I don't want to overpromise here. There's still a lot of issues we're trying to address and kick the tires on. But if we don't win back this House, if we don't take back the House, we may not have an election in 2028. That is not a gross exaggeration. I mean, when you receive in the mail a Trump 2028 hat by one of Trump's biggest influencers, they mean business.
Right.
This is a moral moment. This is the game. This is it. And we cannot tap.
Y es que amigos, en este momento los demócratas no necesitan políticos tibios, necesitan políticos luchadores, gente que defienda a California, a este país, gente que defienda la democracia, gente que defienda la libertad civil, los derechos humanos frente a un régimen como el de Trump, que sabemos que no tiene una pizca de moral ni de vergüenza. Y hoy por hoy, Gavin Newsom es uno de esos demócratas. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Recuerda, dale like, suscríbete a nuestro canal y comparte nuestro contenido. Nos vemos en el próximo video.